Alright, YouTube, David Harry here. Now in this video, I'm going to explain why I ended up buying the MacBook Air M1. Now, in a nutshell, it's kind of down to two main reasons. So I'll kind of like go into those reasons in a little bit of detail, but it's literally down to two things. And the second of these reasons effectively was the iPad Pro M1. That was actually the deciding factor for me to swing and get this. Now, the initial reason for this was basically because I'd bought the Mac Mini when that first came out, the Mac Mini M1. But unfortunately for me, I wasn't utilizing it enough because I was finding it difficult to transition over to Mac for me video editing. Just couldn't find the time to get involved in, like learning another NLE package. Anyway, so what happened about 3 to 4 months into buying the Mac Mini, I sold it because I just wasn't utilizing it. But I sold it with the intention of going back to Mac when the time was right for me to like properly step over for at least my video editing or possibly my music production software and stuff. Anyways, what had happened after getting shut of that, I then started like running into the issues of being on like Windows X86 with all the scalping and all the rest of it, not being able to build the machine that I wanted to build. And then ultimately the software that I use, which is Edius by Grass Valley, their latest version, Edius 10, is just buggy to hell. And I'm having a ton of problems with it, specifically because of its lack of compatibility with 11th gen Intel CPUs and iGPUs. So basically, I was starting to get mega frustrated. Then I realized, well, the only way that I'm gonna move over to Mac is if I have one and I start chipping away at it, which, I really should have kept hold of the Mac Mini if I'd have realized how bad things were gonna get due to like the scalping and not being able to build the machine that I wanted on my Windows PC. And then ultimately, the disappointment of all the errors and failures with Edius, which is something that I've been using now for over 15 years. Anyways, so on the PC side of things, I need to move, blah, blah. I adored the Apple Mac. I really liked it on the M1. And so I thought to myself, okay, I really do need to get back onto a Mac something and then start forcing the issue, trying to learn new software which will justify being back over on Mac and M1. Anyways, the final decider for all this was actually the iPad Pro M1. So what it is, I'll kind of gloss over this actually because there's going to be a video coming up soon between me and my mate Threlly, where we're going to do one of those things again where we both talk about something and just let the cat out the bag. It's going to be entitled something like The Future of the iPad Pro and iPad OS. So in a nutshell, which will give you an idea of what this video is going to be about, after buying the iPad Pro M1, and then when WWDC 21 come up, and it was very apparent that like the next version of iOS, and then obviously as a knock-on effect from that, iPad OS, version 15 really isn't going to be doing anything specifically at all for M1, right? Now, loads of us had bought into these new iPads and we were all hoping that we were going to start getting like a really big uplift in performance right across the board with stuff. And on top of that, I think a lot of us, and I most certainly did, think that we were going to start seeing more similarities between the iPad and the Macs, especially the laptops. However, once WWDC 21 had kind of run its course on the first day talking about what was coming up with the iOS 15, immediately it was really bad news as far as all of us who thought that the M1 iPad Pros were going to end up being some kind of like, powerhouse, which were going to be similar to, say, a MacBook or something like that, just like a MacBook without a keyboard or whatever. I mean, not exactly the same, but somewhere getting close to it. As it happens, we are still, 2 or 3 months away anyway from when 15 comes out. Then that's going to last for at least 12 months. So we're probably talking at least 14 to 15 months where we definitely know that what we've got now with the M1 iPad Pro is what we've got for the next 14 to like 15 months or whatever. So having found that out and kind of swallowed that bitter pill and realised the iPad is just always going to be not quite good enough to replace or to match or to even go side by side really with a MacBook, I just thought, well, if you want something that does what a MacBook does, there's only one thing to do, and that's get a MacBook. So just to round this up then, although I was going to go back to a Mac Mini because they're amazing, I've never had a MacBook before, and I got this one at the right price. I did a video about I got this off Amazon as a warehouse deal and stuff. But the thing is, this will serve two purposes. It's not quite going to be as powerful as the Mac Mini, although it's the same CPU and layout and all the rest of it, and it's 8 cores for the GPU on this one. It will thermal throttle after a point, so definitely not as powerful as the Mac Mini in the long run. However, this one gives me like portability and stuff like that, so it will afford me, like, you know, to be able to do certain other things that I obviously can't do with a base station type computer, or in this instance a base station Mac M1. So that allows for it to be a base station when it sits on the table and plugs into a monitor, mouse and keyboard and all that stuff. Then obviously I treat it as a laptop and I can then go mobile with it. So yeah, you know, the bottom line here is I was going to go back to Mac. Preferably I was going to go back to a Mac Mini, or if there was a more powerful one at the time when I was going to do this, because I thought it was going to be a bit further down the line, I would have jumped to something more powerful. As it happens, the PC market has kind of done me in. The software that I use for editing is doing me in, and this thing here just ain't gonna be what I want it to be. So yes, that's why I've gone for this. Hopefully that's all people can understand me reasoning there, and hopefully it was clear, and hopefully I've not been a bit of a mad person for my reasons here. So let me know in the comments if you think that like my reasons were good enough for doing this, or if I made a mistake, or if I jumped the gun on anything, because as far as I'm concerned, I think this is all reasonable stuff that I've ended up doing. Anyways, yeah, so I'm going to dive off, but keep an eye on the channel because I'm going to do that video with my mate Threlly about the future of iPad, or what we believe the future of iPad Pro is, and also iPad OS. Anyways, if you liked the video, please give it a bit of a thumbs up. Also consider subscribing to my channel and getting all over that bell notification icon. I'm David Harry. Thank you very much for watching this video. Take care and goodbye now.